Are we live? Yay! Hello and happy Educational Monday. And welcome back. And I'm glad for those that was here last week to see you. And for the newcomers, and if you're not listening now and you're listening later, hello. So my name is Erica Jemison. I'm an artist with Swordcraft Professional. And I am here to talk about our new IGORA Cools, which gives you the ability to neutralize, especially when you're dealing with darker pigments, hair that's darker in pigment, and then also when you're using when you're going to tone on lighter hair. So basically, the cools are for everyone. It's just a matter of what, when, where, and how. And we're going to talk about all of that. Our beautiful model here, she started off with a level 4. We are pre-lightened her using Blondie Premium 9 Plus Lightener with the balayage, going from W's to V's, and I'll show you the end result because it's all pin curled now so that I can actually just go in and tone her lighter pieces for the sake of time. But when I take her hair down, I'll go more in depth about exactly what I use to tone. But right now I'm just going to talk about what I use to pre-lighten. Blondie 9 Plus Premium Lightener with 20 volume at the top area and 7 volume at the back area when I started. For me, whenever I'm lightening hair, it's very important for me to start low and go high because I have more control. And especially on the topic of cools, the lift is more controlled to where you can actually go through and have that visualization of the RPC that's left in the hair, which is the remaining pigment contribution, and to really see where you are and it's moving slow. So we'll talk more about that. We'll do a recap when my model is being shampooed. But for now, I'm going to actually get into toning. Whenever I'm toning darker levels of hair, and it just depends because you can use your demi-permanents, you can use TBH, or you can go right in with Agora Royale to tone. It depends on what you need to do. For my model here today, I did go in and weave a money piece around her hairline. And we're about a level 8, got a couple of different lines coming through there. However, when I am toning hair that's dark, sometimes I actually need to go in and use permanent hair color because the permanent hair color will actually give you the ability to get that extra level of lift while the hair is being toned. So that's an old school tip that I learned years ago, and it really works. So when you are toning, it's just a matter of what needs to be done, and that's what matters of what you're going to pick up. So for today, I'm actually going to use the 919. When I talked about the Agora Cools, and I'll come in a little closer so that you can see that. With the Agora Cools, there's 5 new shades in our permanent line and 3 shades in our demi-permanent line, which is Vibrance. I used an ounce of 9-1, and the -1 is our blue violet, and 9 is our violet. So basically, when you get to the Cendres, that's when you're going to have like that softer feel of toning. However, I am going to go in with 10 volume today so that I can get that extra level, but it's still going to be really, really soft and that Cendre type of feel. So, yay, we're going to go in here. Igor Royale is 1 part color, 1 part developer. So like I mentioned before, I used, 1 ounce of 9-19 and the -1, and I'll go over this a little more while my model is being processed, but the -1 is going to be our blue violet and the -9 is our violet. So that's very important to know, especially if you're a new user and you don't come from a numbering system. But what I am going to do again today for you is just break it down and make it very, very user friendly for you because I absolutely love Agora Royale and the new cools are just fantastic. So just give it a mix here. If you're not using our color essentials, very, very important to my career, especially when I start talking about the hair sealer. It's awesome. The skin protect is what you're going to use around the hairline. It's very important when someone is getting professional color for them not to see the residue of color around their hairline. So it's something I use in the salon all the time. Doesn't take that long to apply. I know we like to move fast in the salon. However, it'll save you a ton of time with your after service. And then we also have another product that's in the color essentials called Stain Remover. and that helps if there's any residue of color that the Skin Protect didn't take care of. But 9 times out of 10, the Skin Protect does a great job of protecting the skin and giving you a beautiful, beautiful hairline with no color. So here, and this is the area where I talked about I took the money piece just around her hairline. Now, something to take note of when you are using a permanent hair color two-tone hair, with our model today, we left a little of her natural color for her base. So I'm going to make sure that I really, really stay off of her base while I'm going in with my color application. Because what happens is, we all know this, if you touch the base and it's not colored, then you're gonna actually get some color on that. You're gonna start lightening that base a little bit. And then just working through here. I'm brushing back off of her face just because I don't want the color to be in her face. And I want to make sure that by moving my brush at a diagonal, that I'm able to get all those little pieces there. This is the last. And don't be afraid to give the hair a comb, especially when toning, because if you give the hair a good comb before, then it's easier to kind of move through the hair. If necessary, and depending on the head of hair that I'm working on, if I need to comb through, especially if someone has a lot of hair and I need to comb through, I'll give it one good comb through and then that would be it, right? So here we're going to get closer into the camera where I work on this side here. And then once again, I'm going to work a little. I work off of her face. Just gonna move that out of the way there. And depending, and I'll talk about a fantastic product that comes with that's with the Color Essentials too. Depending on the porosity of her hair, even though we're going in with a 10 volume, you might want to leave those ends out, and it totally depends on the head of hair that you're working on. And then just to go back through right after you finish your primary area where you're toning that hair. So I left those ends out. Just gonna turn it around here. Got a little color on the cake. So here, when I talked about leaving those ends out, if you haven't used our hair primer, it's excellent. When the hair primer actually controls the porosity of the hair, and that's huge when you are coloring the hair, neutralizing the hair, because what happens? Porous hair accepts cool and it rejects warm. So by using a hair primer, it's going to actually help to control that porosity of hair. I use it in a lot of ways, but whenever I'm toning, it's always around when I go over the ends, right? So toning is normally 5 to 20 minutes. And what is that determined by? What exactly are you looking for? However, I have noticed that when I really make sure that I control the porosity of the hair, I don't have to do a sprint back to the bag and say, oh, take it off now, right? And we'll talk about some things and some products that you could use to actually like really help with controlling the porosity of the hair. So I did the same thing in the back area when I toned the hair. I left the ends out to the end of my toning surface. I know that I only want her toner to sit on about 5 minutes. So what I'm going to do before I send her back, I'm just going to give the ends a quick mist of the primer. And I use the primer before we blow dry the primary area where we're toning. So that's why I'm just misting the ends with it. A lot of us like to tone on damp hair anyway, so that's a great tool that you can use like to keep the hair damp before you go over the ends, because what it's going to do is it's just going to moisturize the hair, dampen the hair for you, but at the same time it's still giving the hair the properties of the porosity being taken care of, and like always working towards healthy hair. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually just going to bring my lightening formula, I'm actually going to just bring it down to my ends now, right? And these are things we do in the salon all the time, but these are tips that I have found that have just helped me greatly. And it's just insurance products. And I'm a big insurance person, if you know me. So here I'm just bringing those down. And what I am going to do, and this is what I'll do behind the chair all the time, I am just going to give her hair a good, just one comb through, just to make sure that it's truly saturated from the prime area, start area, through the mid shaft, all the way down to those ends. And I just love when the hair feels good when you're going through. Like, oh my God, this is going to be fantastic. Light and beautiful. Like I said, she started off at a level 4. And to get this degree of lightness with the integrity of the hair feeling this way, it speaks volumes about the insurance products that you use and controlling the porosity of the hair. So at this time, I'm going to have my model go back, and we have about 5 more minutes before we actually rinse her. And so we'll set our timer for 5 minutes. And Crystal, you can actually go to the back now. Thank you so much. So let's do a recap of last week. If you are new to IGORA Royale, I just want to just do a quick recap, and then we can also answer some questions at this time also. But I want to talk about the remaining pigment contribution chart, the color wheel, just touch on it really, really briefly while I'm going through, because this is vital to using IGORA Royale, understanding the international level system. The international level system is the system of 1 being the darkest to 10 being the lightest, right? The remaining pigment chart, contribution chart here, this tells you where the remaining pigment is when you're coloring hair, right? So just really quick to touch on the basis of IGORA Royale, if you're a new user, -1 will be where you find our blue violet. -2 is where you will find our blue. -3 is where you'll find a green. -4 is your beige. -5 is your gold. -6 is your chocolate. -7 is your copper. -8 is your red. And -9 is where you would find your violets, right? And so if you look on the color wheel here, if you look at the bases, and I'll just bring this really quick. We talked about this last week, but this is a recap if you were here last week, or if I didn't get your question, or if you're new this week. So basically, when you think about the basis of where the color is, then you'll understand where you have to neutralize. So the remaining pigment contribution chart tells you the remaining pigment that's left in the hair, right? And if you think about the basis will tell you whether you want to neutralize or enhance. The new shades that we have here, when you look, you'll see we have a 9-19, which is a -1 blue violet violet. We have 9-11, which is blue violet. We have a 731 is where you're going to find your green, and then you're going to find your blue violet. A 623, which is going to be your level 6, where you'll find your blue, and then you will find, which is a -2, and your 3 is your green. And then you'll go into what we have in our Vibrance series, which is your -12, which is going to be your blue violet with your blue. 623 is going to be your blue with your green. 4-33 is going to be your dark brown with your green, right? So when you think here and you think about what you have to neutralize at that time, at the time where you're working on your client, right? And there's 2 types of ways that you will deal with the remaining pigment contribution that's left in the hair. It's either going to be when you pre-lighten the hair, and that's why I would say get very, very comfortable with understanding what are you going to face when you get to that level. Because if you understand the remaining pigment contribution chart and you understand what pigment you're going to have to deal with at that level, then it will help you to see what base you want to pick when you're coloring the hair and how much you want to neutralize. When you think about The other way that you won't see the remaining pigment in the hair is when you're lifting the hair. So it's blind to your eye visually, but you want to think about that in your formula. So let's say you're coloring someone's hair and their hair is you want to take them from a 4 to a level 7. What remaining pigment that you deal with when you deal with a level 7? It's orange. So you know that you're going to have a formula that have blue present in the formula to neutralize at that level. And so what happens is, and there's a lot of fear when some stylists are coloring cool hair and they want cool results and they're dealing with neutralizing, because what happens is you have to train your eye to understand what that cool hair looks like, right? And so I understand that's why some new users or some new stylists, they're afraid when it comes to neutralizing, because the hair does change visually in front of your eye. But if you understand the remaining pigment contribution chart and trust the process, then you will be totally fine. Something that has worked for me and works for me all the time is depending on my end result, our desired look. We learned this a long time ago, right? This is ancient information, but your desired results, the head of hair that you're working on, these are the things that will dictate how much you want to neutralize the hair. So with that being said, let's say you don't want a total ash. You don't want a total smoked out look. And there's a place for that. Like when I wear my hair blonde in my bob, I want it to be really, really smoky. So I'm used to the cool results and it looks good on my skin. But if you don't want like a total smoked out look or just something that's totally ash to the eye, depending on your desired result, depending on the client hair you're working with, then you may choose to start to integrate the cools with using your naturals, right? So let's say for our toner today on our model, I made sure that I really, really did everything I could to control the porosity of the hair. And I'm going to give you a tip and tricks on the products that I use. But still, when I was going in to tone her hair, I chose 8-0 and I used a quarter of 6-23, right? And we pre-lightened her hair yesterday, and so when she came in today, the orange was like, it was really still staring at me, right? So it was a clear indicator that, okay, you're going to blue, right? However, I knew that we did have some porosity issues. Even though I took care of them, I still was thinking like, okay, so I'm just going to mix a quarter of the 6 because I wanted a level 7 right around that area. And we'll have a little quick chat about that too. But I wanted about a level 7, so I was thinking the 6-23, and that's where the new cools are excellent. A quarter of that in my formula, with the primary of my formula being an 8-0, right? Because the -0s, once the hair is pre-lightened, it's going to actually give me some of those neutrals that I need in there too. And by using that quarter of 6-23, it gave me some depth, and then it also gave me that -2 that I needed, right? So by mixing, so you can actually start to integrate the cools by mixing them with your natural series. And just remember this, whenever you mix 2 colors together, always make sure that you really mix it together good in your bowl before you add the developer. That's just a tip that I learned a long time ago. But it just ensures that you have a good mix of color and it's all really, really blended together. So understanding, let's just talk really quick about like the characteristics of the hair. Like, what are some characteristics that like clearly show you that this hair might have a porosity issue? And I keep saying porosity, 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 because it's huge when you are using cooler tones on hair. So, what does it look like when the hair is porous, right? Really understanding how that hair feels, because hair is simply just a fabric, right? And you could feel when the hair is healthy because it's light, it has a nice shine on it, and the hair moves. That's how you know that it has hydration. Hair that's a bit porous has a tendency to be a little bit drier. It lacks life in terms of movement. And so if you could start not just training your eye on the remaining pigment contribution that's left in the hair, but actually start to train your hands to feel what porous hair feels like. And that would be huge for you, right? So let's talk about, and before we get into some questions, I know I'm talking a lot, so it's okay. But before we get into some questions, I want to talk about some insurance products, right? So first and foremost, if I'm coloring someone's hair and and I'm going to like take them through many levels like I did my client today, what I'm going to do is I want to start fresh, right? And starting fresh means I'm actually going to give the hair a treatment to where I know that I'm making this hair healthy, right? So our tribon treatment mask, and it comes for fine hair, and then it also comes for coarse hair, right? You guys see that? The tribon technology actually restructures the hair from the inside out, right? And it mimics the carbons that's found in hair to rebond the hair and treat the hair. So it treats the hair inside out by making it stronger and then also replacing those lost lipids that's on the hair's outer surface, right? And we've learned that if you can get control of the cuticle layer of the hair, then you have the ultimate control when it comes to reconstructing the hair. So for our model today, I definitely went in with the treatment mask and I left the mask on for 10 minutes and then rinsed the mask and put her under a dryer just so her hair could just kind of dry, get some of the water out before I started, right? I want to talk about another insurance product and it's our hair sealer. Anyone that knows me, like literally, I could get a t-shirt and wear hair sealer every day because this is like, it's so necessary in the salon. Like it's the total insurance product that you need in the salon because what it does is if you think about what happens when we're coloring hair, right? We're chemically changing the hair structure, right? So think about what's happening when the hair is being colored, like something like this is happening to the cuticle layer of the hair, right? And so the hair sealer, what it's going to do, it's actually going to start reducing the swelling of the cuticle when you're once your color is done. And it's actually going to start reducing the swelling and then actually pushing out the residue of any chemicals, right? So how you would use it is you'll shampoo the hair, and then after you shampoo the hair, you would actually apply the hair sealer to your client and just move it through. And I like to massage it in for like 5 minutes. You can add it a part of your massage. And when I talk about like literally getting to feeling what the hair looks like and feels like when it starts to obtain a certain level of health, that's something that you could definitely tell when you're using the hair sealer. Like you could actually see like that, you could feel the hair literally transform, and it's actually like you could feel the calm coming back to the hair from your chemical process. So if you're not using it, you definitely want to incorporate that into your color regimen or chemical regimen because I use it after every chemical. So let's see if we have any questions at this time. The formula?
Yes.
Can you repeat?
Can you repeat the formula?
Oh, sure. So the formula that I use, I left an inch of her own natural hair, which is a level 4. I left that untouched, right? I went in with Blonde Me 9 Plus Premium Lightener. I started off with 7 volume. And basically what I did was I took 4 sections of the hair and I took an inch out for my money piece that I actually did a weave on. And the back area, I actually did, and this was just because I wanted to play a little bit. I actually did a balayage, but I started with B's, and then actually as I moved through the section, I started doing with W's. When I worked through the front area, I shifted to Blonde Me 9 Plus Premium Lightener with 20 volume. And as I worked through the side area, I actually did the slope technique, which is higher here and it slopes down. And so basically what happens is that gives you that bright lightness around the face that you want to see, when you're lightening the hair. And the only thing it does is just really, really accentuate the light around the face. And it just works with creating more light with supporting your money piece. To tone, and then I went through with a fine weave to do the money piece. Once the hair was finished, I toned with 3/4 of 8-0. Dash zero is our neutral in IGORA Royale. And I used 1/4 of 6-23, which is our blue green. Mix those two colors really, really good in the bowl before I even applied my developer. And I used 10 volume. I worked through the back area and I started with the mid area first because the ends were a little bit lighter, and that's something too that you want to kind of pay attention to whenever you are lightening hair, is just not to kind of go into the automatic and just apply the toner everywhere. And that's something I do even when I'm using a demi permanent. I'll always start at this area, the mid area of the hair first before I go to the ends, because like I said, the ends always, you'll find them to be a bit more porous than anything. And and even if you're planning on giving the hair a good trim, it's just always a good practice to do your ends last. So I worked through the mid areas. After the mid areas were completed, I went in with the hair primer on all of those ends, and then I went in and just pulled the color from the mid area throughout those ends. On the top area on the money piece, I am using level 9-1-19, which is our new cool formula, which is going to give us a soft, like cendre, but the violet is going to give it a little warmth, just a little bit neutralizing the yellow, and it's going to be really, really pretty and soft. Yes. So let me talk about when we have new colors that's introduced to us. It's kind of cool because being behind the chair, and that's what I love about Schwarzkopf Professional, because it's such an innovative brand. They're always, I'm a part, are always looking forward to what the hairstylists need going forward, right? And so for me, I always like to inspire myself to challenge myself to use new colors when they come out and integrate them into the system that I have now. And with that being said is, when I first started coloring hair, it was very important to have a color card, right, for your clients. And that's true. However, I've realized with being innovative and having new colors to try and integrate, it not only pushes me out of my comfort zone, but it also helps me to always be forward with my clients. So it's like now, oh my God, I can neutralize like even more now. I have more colors to play with. And so I would always just say stylist, because I'm behind the chair also, is make sure that you challenge yourself to not be afraid, right? Because once you have information, then you could become fearless in what you want to do and start off slow, right? Depending on what you want, or if you want something just funky and cool and smoky, go in and with all, right? But as long as you have the information, then you could become limitless. So what we're talking about, like being innovative, having new color tones to play with, getting ultimate neutralization from using the cools. I have a mood board here, right? And like as a stylist behind the chair, we need inspiration. So like in the spring and the summer and the spring and the fall and winter, I'm always going through Runway to see what's going on, to see what's current, so that I can make sure that I'm with the trends. And if I'm lucky, even going before sometime and like forecasting what's going to be hot and what's not going to be hot, and what I need to take away and what I need to bring. So I've created a mood board here, and even creating this mood board for my live today, this is something that I do all the time. And I did it for you today just so you can get a clear visual of the new tones, the new shade selection that we have out in the IGORA Cools, and then also like to get some imagery of what's on the runway. And here you see your beautiful greens. Here you see your beautiful beiges with your greens, right? And you see dark around with just hints of light. If you look here, you could like see how crisp the blues and the greens are with like ash lights coming through them. And so, and of course, we have a picture of our model for our Agora Cools. But like, actually, like on your spare time, like taking the time to actually just like sit down and see what's current. And when I was doing my mood board, something I thought about, like, I love Agora Royale. I love the brand. I love Sports Car Professional because not only is it very innovative, but it's very current. And if you think about what's current on the runway right now, boom, here we are, right? So let's see here. While we wait for our model, do I want to talk about something else? Do we have any more? Okay. So what I did, there's something else I wanted to talk about. We talked about let's talk about retouching, right? So when we talked about, we have 8 new shades. We have 5 new shades in Agora Royale. We have 3 new shades in Vibrance, which is our demi-permanent line. So with using the two together, it's the perfect dual system, right? So let's say for our model today, when she comes back in for a touch-up, there's a very good chance that I would not have to go in and use permanent color to tone her either her highlights or even the area that's in the back towards of her hair. I could actually go in with my vibrance and tone with my vibrance when she comes in for a touch up. And what I've noticed is when you're coloring darker levels of hair, that warmth always wants to come back. It's almost like you're always like, stay down, right? So you can actually use, because when I talk about the new shades, we have a 623 actually in our vibrance. So when our model comes in for a touch up, you can actually use the same formula. We have an 8-0 in vibrance, and then you can actually use the 623, same formula, and with your demi-permanent, and then also you can do the same for her money piece with your demi-permanent. So a great dual system is just a matter of, because the hair has already been lightened, so when your client comes in for your touch-up, you just need to refresh the color. And so that's what makes the Agora Royale so magical. Are we ready for our model? Yes. Let's see, come on out here. Oh, gorgeous, have a seat here. So, and you can look right in the mirror. And I'm just gonna have you come a little closer. She's so pretty. And hold your head down there so they can see money piece. And for the back area of her hair, of course, if you've been around as long as I have, you know what happened here. So we just pin curled her hair so that it could be out the way while we did the toning services in the front. But you can see actually by going in with the permanent color how it like totally like softened and brightened and gave us that extra level of lift there. So that's a good trick to have in your pocket. And I still remember that, learning that years ago. And sometimes when I go into salons now, like a lot of stylists, like younger stylists are like, oh, I didn't think that you can use permanent color to tone. And I'm like, of course, you're dealing with raw pigment after you pre-lighten the hair. So here we go. And for our model, what I did was, because I wanted her ends to be really, really smooth, after her hair was shampooed and blow dried and all the treatments was on there, I actually went in with like sealed ends on her ends because I wanted to make sure that her ends were nice and sealed and pretty. And that was my choice product to put on the sealed ends. And as I went through and curled her hair, I turned the curler to about 300 so that it was soft, and kind of just moved the curler through her hair to where her hair was really, really soft and pretty. So what I'm gonna do now, actually, I'm gonna just turn her to you as I brush through her hair so that you could see all those beautiful tones there. And then what we're gonna do is we're actually going to put a couple of her before pictures so that you could see where she started before and then how we got with these looks here. And this is what is beautiful to me, not just coloring the hair, but like literally having healthy hair that's colored. That's everything to me, because if the hair doesn't have a great shine, and it's not moving and it's not healthy, then what are you doing, right? I'm gonna use a little of our Osis session to give the hair a good spray. It's a nice light working spray. And for me, when I'm dealing with flyaways, I'll spray just a little spray in my hand. Your hands are your best comb and brush that you can ever find. And I'm just gonna turn her. Wow, that's just gorgeous. So I'm just gonna give her a quick turn. And what do you think? Beautiful. Oh, yes, the models do talk. Okay, so I'm gonna release my model. We're gonna take after pictures. We're gonna have her before, and we're gonna put it in the chat. And so thank you so much. Yay, I love great results. So I wanna talk about a couple of more products before I end. And so when we talk about having those insurance products like that help you, when I talk about dark hair, it's like literally you need to like put your foot on the removing pigment because it always wants to come up. And you know, orange is a big thing, reds, orange, or even yellow. Our Goodbye Orange shampoo and our Goodbye Yellow shampoo are excellent for your client to take home and to maintain those unwanted pigments trying to come to the surface. This is our Goodbye Orange, and this is our Goodbye Yellow, right? No, what I'll always tell my clients, because it's very important that, and I had a client on Saturday. She was asking me about products and different hair questions, and she was like, well, how will we know? And I was telling her, the stylists, we equip you. And she goes, okay, well, some things I think that you wouldn't want us to know because, you know, we have to come to you for that. And I'm like, not today's stylists. Today's stylists definitely want to equip our clients so that they can be beautiful all the time because they are walking business cards, right? So what I tell my clients when they're using the Goodbye Orange or they're using the Goodbye Yellow is to give their hair a good shampoo. And then kind of once the hair lathered, like let the shampoo sit for a couple of minutes, right? And it just depends on how much orange or yellow you see, but let it sit for a couple of minutes. And then always make sure that you go in with your hydrating formulas, like your conditioners as well, to seal and smooth the cuticle layer of the hair. I also tell my clients, and I give you this product, you must know that you can't keep it in overnight because if you feel that your hair is at a level of warmth that needs that type of neutralization, that's when you need to come back to the salon. So equipping our clients with what they need to have is very, very important, especially when you're doing looks with neutralizing and getting your clients too used to what neutralized hair look like when you're neutralizing and what to feel. Because I know for me, a lot of my clients, I had a client, she did not ever want her hair to be toned, and thank God for the additives with the new blonde me. We'll talk about that later. But because she visualized yellow as bright, right? And neutralizing that yellow, when you took away that brightness, she felt that the level shifted. So having that conversation with your clients and bringing them into also what neutralization look like. And because sometimes they want it, but they don't understand how it looks. And so bringing them into it makes them feel comfortable and make you feel comfortable as a stylist while you're neutralizing their hair. I always say anyone can wear any shade of lightness, especially blonde. It just depends on how the hair is neutralized and customized and individualized for that person. So with that being said, it's been really, really fun with you. Thank you for those who are watching me now or those that are gonna watch me later. And I will be answering the calls in the chat up to 24 hours. So if you have a question and you're watching later, please feel comfortable with leaving your question there, and I will be going there to chat and chat with you with the questions. Like I said, we will put her before and afters inside of the chat. If you want to find us on YouTube and Instagram, you can find us as Schwarzkopf Professional USA. And on Instagram, you can find us as Schwarzkopf USA. We have an e-learning tool that's online that also have information about any new product that we have. And like I said, you will become limitless once you have the information that you need, because what happens is when you have education, you have information, it really kills the noise that could disturb your creative abilities. And so all of that information is there for you. I am Erica Jemison, an artist with Schwarzkopf Professional, and thank you for your time today.